Welcome to this week's edition of the Seekonk Speedway Race Day Rewind, produced by Souza Media, where we recap all the weekend's racing as part of the 75th anniversary season of the Action Track of the East. The Seekonk Speedway podcast series is a production of Seekonk Speedway and Souza Media. For more information on Souza Media, visit kylesouza.com. And for more information on Seekonk Speedway, visit seekonkspeedway.com. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another edition of the Seekonk Speedway post-race report as part of the podcast series, the Race Day Rewind. This edition coming from races that took place on June 9th, June 11th, and June 12th, 2021. My name is Kyle Souza. As you heard in the intro, this is all presented by Souza Media. I am the owner of Souza Media. This week we are going to recap 3 nights of racing action, beginning with a special midweek Wednesday night show, opening Fast Friday of 2021, finally, and another night of NASCAR Saturday night racing. I believe that was round number 6 of Saturday night competition this past Saturday night as well. I don't just believe, I know. So 6 Saturday nights in the books, now 1 Friday night and 1 special Wednesday night event. As always, we're going to recap all of the racing action and welcome on a few guests that may have either won or run in the front of the field over the last weekend. Want to start by quickly mentioning what happened on Wednesday night, June 9th, the Boston Louis Seymour Memorial Night. A special night at Seekonk with the return of the ISMA Super Modifieds for the first time in just about a decade. Good crowd on hand to see a good race overall. 3 different shows on the track. We had the 100-lap race for the ISMA Super Modifieds, the 50-lap Dave Steele Memorial for the NEMA Light main event, and also, of course, the Boston Louis 29-lap race for the NEMA Midgets. Coming out on top, Jonathan McKennedy took home the big prize in the ISMA Super Modifieds. He is very familiar with the Super Modifieds. That was his 5th consecutive win with ISMA behind the wheel of the number 79. Jake Traynor held off a couple of challengers, including former NASCAR Cup Series regular Ken Schrader, to win the NEMA Light 50-lap feature. And Paul Scally broke through to win the Boston Louis Seymour 29-lap race for the NEMA Midgets. That was a real special win for Paul Scally behind the wheel of the number 30. So congratulations to all of them for picking up wins on the special Wednesday night show at Seekonk Speedway. That's the first of multiple Wednesday night shows. The second one is coming up on Wednesday, June 30th. $10,000 to win the annual Open Wheel Wednesday with Tri-Track, the NEMA Lights, and the 350 Smack Super Modifieds, which are a little bit smaller. We had the big block supers on the Wednesday this past week. We'll have the small block supers for Open Wheel Wednesday. That's all presented with the Speed 51 Modified Madness coming up on June 30th. And then on July 28th, we will also have another Wednesday night show, the Bay State Classic. 100 laps for the Pro Stock division is what we've seen go on in the past as part of an expedition show. We've seen 200 laps in the middle of the week with the big $10,000 to win race that we had a couple of years ago at the Action Track of the East. This time, the Bay State Classic with Pass goes 150 laps. The Pass Modifieds will be in town. And the Bay State Classic for the Helger Sportsman, 50 laps. That's all coming up on July 28th. So a great Wednesday show to kick off with ISMA, John McKennedy, NEMA Paul Scally, and NEMA Lights. It was Jake Traynor in Victory Lane. Friday night, June 11th, we finally got the Fast Friday season underway after Mother Nature really stabbed us in the toe here to get the season underway before that. 2 weeks in a row of Mother Nature raining on our parade. Not this time around. A great season opener on Fast Friday. So great to see everybody back. Of course, the Fast Friday divisions raced last year, albeit with no fans in the grandstands and a little bit of a different capacity. The Fast Friday divisions did get out there on the track and see competition in 2020. In 2021, they're back to full capacity just like everybody else, and a great opener at Fast Friday with the Seekonk Grand Prix Bandolero Bandits and Outlaws, the Sport 4 division, the Helger South Coast Power Equipment Pure Stocks, and the Nix Pit Stop Legends, all opening the season in action. Want to start by looking at the Seekonk Grand Prix Bandoleros, and specifically the Bandit division. A great showing behind the wheel for them on Friday night. Darren Krantz Jr. returns to Victory Lane behind the wheel of the green and black 31 dominating performance for him to get out front early and pick up another win. He was the dominant factor last year, running a part-time schedule, but he was in victory lane more often than not. He starts off this year in similar fashion, taking that number 31 to victory lane. Muliana Shalaski was second. Ryan Van Ness Jr. was third. Michael Lafort III, the son of Mikey Lafort, was fourth. And rounding out the top five, a debut run for this driver in the Seekonk Grand Prix Bandolero Bandits. Always great to see new drivers come out in the Bandits and run towards the front of the field. And this time it was Rodney Dowells behind the wheel of the 24 with a nice top five finish. Early on in the race, we had a hard accident. Nick Uring Jr. hard into the outside wall in turn 4. Great to see him climb out of the car. Congratulations to some of the people that built these cars. Very safe for these young drivers, and Uring was able to get out with no injury. So nice to see that. Hope to see him back next week. Also want to give a shout out in the Bandits to the Helger South Coast Power Equipment race team. Now Richie Helger Jr. competes in the Outlaw division, but they had a backup car in the trailer, and Colin Van Ness wrecked hard in practice. Another testament to the safety. He got out without injury, but they didn't have a car for the feature, and the Helger South Coast Power Equipment team donated a car to get him into the feature event. So congratulations to them for the sportsmanship, and a great run for Colin Van Ness, able to get a top 10 in a backup car. So it's Darren Krantz Jr., the Week 1 winner in the Bando Bandits. On to the Sport 4 division, their first race of the year, and a thrilling battle over the final 5 or 10 laps between two former champions, Mike Lafort and Dave Westgate, and a rather newer driver and a rising star in this division, Tyler Duhanchik, who drives the Phil's Propane's 48. Now, those three drivers put on a show at the end. It was not all about them. Crystal Murray was 4th. Matthew Peon was 5th. Nice solid top 5 finishes for those two drivers to round out the first race of the season. Mention hard wrecks in the Bandos, a similar one here in the Sport 4 division. A hard accident between Taylor Bowser and Austin Flanagan, two rising stars. Flanagan, a rookie contender. Bowser in her second year, and Bowser was up in the air. Flanagan, I believe, was the one up in the air. One of those two was up in the air. I can't remember exactly, but they both came down safe. Everybody got out okay. Some damage to be fixed. I'm sure we'll see them back here in the next couple of weeks. But an impressive run by both of those drivers in the Sport 4 division, that being Crystal Murray and Matt Peon, to get top 5 runs. In the end, Lafort uses the outside lane to get around Duhanchik and Westgate with basically not a 3-wide move. It was a 2-wide move, but Duhanchik and Westgate got together. Lafort jumped to the outside, and in dominating fashion in the final few, Mikey Lafort returns to victory lane. The defending champion, multiple-time champion of the Sport 4, showing he is not going anywhere anytime soon to pick up the big win behind the wheel of that number 13. So Michael Lafort picks up the win in the Sport 4 main. 30 laps in that one. That was round 1 of the Phil's Propane Triple Crown Series for them. That locks Lafort into the Phil's Propane finale coming up in August. In the Seekonk Grand Prix Bandolero Outlaws, it was young Stephen Bowden finally breaking through into Everett's Auto Parts victory lane. Now, Bowden's been doing this for a couple of years now, come up close a few times, not able to seal the deal. This time, though, a very successful run for him behind the wheel. Jumps out front early. He and Joey LeMay battled hard for the lead. A very successful race between the two of them. Nice and clean. Put on a good show. But in the end, it was Steve Bowden to take down the win in the number 64. The top 5 finishers, Bowden wins it. LeMay second. Richie Helger Jr., who I mentioned earlier, donated one of his cars for the other division. Nice solid third place run to open the year for the driver of the South Coast Power Equipment, number 99. He was one of the drivers contending for the Bandit Championship last year, able to rebound this year early, come out, and have a nice solid run to open the 2021 season. Great third place finish for Richie Helger Jr. He's going to be one to watch in the championship battle. Fourth place was Jace Mungin in a debut effort there. Nice run. And Brent Robideau had a great top 5 finish to open the season. Tough run in this one for Nick Chaber Jr., who came up just a few points short of the championship in this division last year. Wreck early, lap number 2, out for the remainder, and Chaber will be one of those guys we will be watching to see if he can get a front row starting spot or something close to the front here in the next couple weeks and rebound as far as that championship battle goes. So there you have the recap of some of the Fast Friday divisions. We've recapped the Seekonk Grand Prix Bandolero Bandits and Outlaws and the Everett's Auto Parts Sport 4 division. Now we're going to take our first break of this week's edition of the Race Day Rewind. I want to thank everybody for listening. And around the turn, my voice will not be the only one you will be hearing. Steve Bowden joins the show to talk about his debut win in the Seekonk Grand Prix Bandolero Outlaws after many, many tries. It's the debut in victory lane for this youngster, and we'll talk to him about it right around the turn. All right, welcome back from the break. I mentioned before the break we were going to welcome in our first guest of the Race Day Rewind podcast for this week, and I have him on the hotline here, the Souza Media hotline, if you want to say that. And it is the winner of the Seekonk Grand Prix Bandolero Outlaw race from Friday night, his first career win. Stephen Bowden has now joined us on the hotline. Now, Stephen, you must still be feeling pretty good here. We're about 3 or 4 days after the opening Fast Friday of the year. Talk me through the emotion and everything that's going on here in the last couple of days after being a first-time winner.
Yeah, it definitely feels good. I've watched the video of the races a few times, probably more than 5 times, but it definitely feels good, especially working so hard after 2 years to be able to get that first win.
Yeah, so I mean, I know Friday night, you end up in victory lane. It's all smiles at the end of the race, but the race was tough, right? I mean, from a driver's perspective, you battled Joey LeMay there pretty hard. I mean, that was one of the best Bando races I think we've seen for the lead in many, many years. What was the difference in that battle, though, for you to be able to get by him and then be able to hold him off there at the end?
One of the main differences, I think, is from last year to this year, the change in tires. No one knew how they were exactly going to handle during race conditions. And with the open practices and regular practices that we've had before the season, we were able to really dial in the car. We're still working on it to get it to be not so loose, because with the new tires, they're extremely loose from last year. But when he got loose, I was able to just put my nose there and go right on by him, and that's what played a main factor. If he didn't get so loose, I don't think I would have been able to get by him that quick, if at all.
Well, I mean, it worked out for you to get by Joey there at the end and kind of hold him off there. Of course, Richie Helger Jr. was up there. We know he's been fast the last couple years. And you got yourself a good start to the year. I mean, winning your first race in the first race of the year gets everything off on some high momentum here. Now the question is, how excited are you to go out there and try to get a couple more? Now that you've got one, you got to be looking forward to trying to get 2, 3, 4 here as the season goes along.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. They say that the first one's always the hardest to get, and the rest just fall in line. So I'm definitely hoping that statement's true, especially for the season, with it being my last year in the Bando.
Yeah, so your last year in the Bando, you bring up a good point. You've been helping us out on Saturday night as well. I know you spent a lot of years. Race fans will see those flagmen, the children flagmen that sit at the bottom of the flag stand behind the stands, and Stephen is one of them. Must be cool to also be able to join us on the flag stand on a Saturday night here a couple times so far this year and enjoy yourself up there with the NASCAR competition.
Yeah, it's definitely fun, not an experience everyone gets to get, especially because it's at least the favorite spot in the entire place to be watching the races from.
Yeah, definitely. Well, mine too. I would agree. Myself doing it on a Friday. Of course, Stephen races on Friday, jumps up there with Tim Bolduc on occasion on Saturday night. Who knows how many more times we'll see him jump up there and help Tim out on the flag stand. Well, Stephen, I want to give you a chance to thank some of your sponsors. And I know there's 2 specific people in your family there that have been supportive of you along the way here to help you get to where you are and grab your first win.
Yeah, my mom and dad for letting me do this, of course. And then all my sponsors, Route 6 Auto Mall Kia, Reynolds Auto Wrecking, Fred's Friendly Sunoco, and Devin DeShays Motorsports for helping us set up the car and get it to where we need to be in order to be where we're at now.
Yeah, that's been another big thing for Stephen here over the offseason. A setup guy, Devin DeShays' dad there, John DeShays, been great to help him get to the front of the field. Well, Stephen, we want to thank you for a few minutes here in the podcast. Congratulations once again, and we'll see you again here on Friday night.
Thank you, Kyle.
All right, that's been Steve Bowden. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to move on and recap the Pure Stocks and the Legend cars from Friday. Stay with us. Welcome back from the break. Nice to hear from Steve Bowden. Congratulations to him on his victory in the Bando Outlaws, and I think he's going to be one we are going to hear a lot from as the 2021 season goes along. Let's talk about the other 2 divisions that competed on the opening Fast Friday night. In the Pure Stocks, and the Knicks Pit Stop Legends. Now, the Pure Stock sponsored by Helger South Coast Power Equipment, and the Legend Cars sponsored by Knicks Pit Stop. Want to thank both of those companies for jumping on board again in 2021. Congratulations to Danny Massa in the Helgers Pure Stocks and Luke LeBrun in the Knicks Pit Stop Legends for winning on opening night. Both of these races impressive with nice clean driving and some tight races to the finish. Great overall start to the season for both of these two divisions. Now, a new tire for the Pure Stocks this year, a racing tire presented by American Racer, a little bit different than what they had been running on before. A little bit of a learning curve for some of the drivers out there. I do think it closed the gap between those guys that were fast and those guys that were a little bit slower. Notice that gap is closed a little bit after Friday night. But in the Pure Stocks, no stranger to victory lane. Danny Massa gets the job done. Lap number 12, he takes the lead from Max Bergstrom and never gives it back with a dominating win in the season opener. I really think Danny's going to be one of the guys we're going to watch here when it comes time to crown the champion at the end of the year. So congratulations to him on his opening night win. A late restart gave him a chance to mess it up, but he did not. A big wreck in turn 2 collected a few different drivers, Justin Rio and Emily Brightman, just to name a few. They were not able to finish the race. Hard wreck over there. Nice job by the safety crew getting that cleaned up, and nice to see everybody walk away unscathed. But in the end, Massa not to be denied. Joey Morissette had a great run behind the wheel of the TTM Motorsports 77. Now he's looking for his first career win. Starts just outside the top 5 in the number 77. Not able to get the win, but opens with a nice solid second place finish behind the wheel of the number 77. Greg Perry has his battery go dead in practice. Doesn't make the time trial qualifying, which means he has to start last, and it does not impact him one bit. He drives from 22nd to the front and gets a nice solid third place finish behind the wheel of the number 0. So great run for Greg Perry. The defending champion of this division is Doug Benoit. He is not racing in 2021, so we will have a new champion as far as this year goes. But Greg Perry is a former champion, so he'll be one to watch. Massa wins, Morissette second, Greg Perry third, Jeremy Lambert in the 15, a nice solid fourth place effort, and Mike Hendricks was fifth. So there you have your Pure Stock recap. In the Knicks Pit Stop Legends, similar, 25 laps on tap for them. What was to close out the night, the last race of the evening, and an extremely fun battle between 4 different drivers. Luke LeBrun, Brendan Hammond, Jake Johnson, and Josh Parsons. They finished 1, 2, 3, 4, not exactly in that order, but they put on one heck of a show. All of them came from either the bottom of the top 10 or just outside the top 10, charged to the front, and the 4 of them decided the race in an extremely close battle coming down to the line. Now, it was LeBrun who led a good chunk of this race behind the wheel of the number 88. He is running for Nicholas Scola this year in the NLR camp. He took the lead on lap 11, and he never gave it up. He led the final 14 laps of the race, but that was not the story. Jake Johnson was on his bumper, couldn't quite get around, but was right there. And then at the end, it's Brendan Hammond, who we didn't talk about much last year. He didn't run with us much during the COVID situation last year, but he comes back this year, dare I say, with a limited amount of practice. He hasn't practiced a ton coming into last Friday night. He gets to the bottom of LeBrun, coming off turn 4 for the white flag. They drag race down the back straightaway through 3 and 4, and coming to the line, Hammond comes up a few feet short, maybe even a few inches short. Very, very, very close race in the Knicks Pit Stop Legends, but it's LeBrun winning by 0.030 seconds, 30/100ths of a second for the Knicks Pit Stop Legend cars to open the year. Great race there. Josh Parsons, nice solid third place effort. Josh is going to be another one of the guys to watch for the championship this year, along with those 2. Defending champion Jake Johnson doesn't seem to be wanting to run for the championship, but he opens the year with a 4th place finish, and Mason Tessier in the Scott Harkin Racing entry with a nice solid top 5 run. Mason led some laps early, the first 10 of the race. He is really coming on here in the Legend cars, and I expect him to get a win before long. So good stuff in the Knicks Pit Stop Legends. There's your top 5. Some other drivers in that one. Giovanni Gero was 7th. Brendan LaBelle and Reese Bogue moving up from the Bandoleros in 9th and 10th. And Devin Deshays was strong in this race as well. Some contact got him spun around just about at the halfway point No, that was towards the end of the race, I believe, last couple laps. But he was running inside the top 7 or 8 most of the race. So a nice run by Deshays as well, and unfortunately not the finish that he was looking for. All right, now we are on to next Friday night. Round 1 of the Phil's Propane Triple Crown Series will be on tap for the Pure Stock Division. Both Bandolero divisions, the Legend Cars, and the Sport 4s also in action. Phil's Propane Round 1 for the Pure Stock, 7 p.m. start. Tickets are available online. You can also buy them at the track. Stick with us. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to transfer over to recapping Saturday night racing from this past weekend. We are going to talk to another front runner from Saturday night, recap Vinnie Arrenegado's win in the Everett's Auto Parts Late Models, Joe Kohler in the Sportsman presented by Helger's South Coast Power Equipment, Jazz Auto Body Sport Trucks winner Rick Martin with his 97th career Seekonk win, and Dave Darling, again, the Dynamite one, back in Everett's Auto Parts Victory Lane for his 5th win in the first 6 weeks of the season. A lot to talk about still on the Race Day Rewind podcast. Stick with us. Welcome back from the break. Thanks for sticking with us here as we transfer from Fast Friday to NASCAR Saturday and the NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts Weekly Series Division recaps from Saturday night, June 12th. Hard to believe we are already closing in on the summer. I believe it's still spring technically, but summer nights at the Action Track of the East are here. It was a beautiful Saturday night for competition this past Saturday night. 4 divisions in action as part of the night of racing. Round 2 of the Phil's Propane Triple Crown Series for the Chaz Auto Body Sport Trucks, the late models, and the Sportsman. Also in action, the Sportsman had a Helger's Power 5 race, 5 extra laps, and the Pro Stocks as well. Also in action. Want to start by recapping the Everett's Auto Parts late models in probably the best feature of the night as far as clean and green goes. Vinnie Arrenegado takes down his 2nd win of the season, becoming the first driver to score more than 1 victory in this class. Coming into the night, there were 5 different winners in the first 5 races. Arrenegado erases that statistic and becomes a multiple-time winner. Now, Vinnie, in a clean race, as I mentioned, this race just under 9 minutes or so to complete 30 laps. I believe there was only 1 caution. It might have been 2, but I think it was just 1. Vinnie started at the bottom of the top 10, used both the inside and the outside lane, charges to the front, and picks up win number 2, opening his point lead now over 25 points early over Jerry DeCaspari Jr. Jerry was able to finish 2nd in the number 71. Great run for him to rebound from the week before where he struggled with a bad finish. Ryan Flood gets his best career late model finish, and it's early in the year. His 6th or 7th start in a late model this season, and Flood finishes 3rd, a podium run. Great job for him. Paul Lallier, a former Helger's South Coast Power Equipment Sportsman champion, with a nice solid 4th place finish. And 5th was Nick Uring behind the wheel of the International CDL number 11. Some good runs here for Flood and Lallier, both former Sportsman regulars. Flood, a former Sportsman regular in general. Lallier, a former Sportsman champion here, making the jump to the late models, and a successful jump so far. Started on the pole, led a lot of the race, and an impressive run behind the wheel. Josh Hedges, who had won the week before, finished at the bottom of the top 10. Some other names we've been watching this year, Chase Belcher was inside the top 10 as well. And, of course, we had Richie Murray in the 7th position, running in just her 2nd or 3rd weight model race over the course of the season. I believe that was his 3rd start behind the wheel of a weight model. So, Belcher finishing 9th. Hedges was 10th. Hedges is 3rd in the championship. Arrenegado leads DeCaspari and Hedges after the first 6 weeks. The Helger South Coast Power Equipment Sportsman was back on the track on Saturday night with another fantastic race behind the wheel of these sportsmen. This was another sportsman-style thriller up at the front of the field. Early on, Colby Lambert shows the way. 2nd or 3rd week in a row, we've seen him up at the front of the pack. He had a great run going on Saturday night. He ended up 6th behind the wheel. But after him, outside the top 10, you had a few drivers that have been running really, really good early in the season that didn't have such a good run on Saturday night. Meaningful, Chad Baxter finished 12th in the RLS Performance number 0. Baxter had been the big winner in 4 out of the first 5 weeks. He got tangled up with Kyle Casper racing, I believe at that point they were just at the bottom of the top 10 early in the race, and he was able to recover solidly to a nice 12th place finish, but his first finish outside the top 10 this year. And when it comes down to the checkered flag, it's Joe Kohler. Smokin' Joe comes from the back from a 13th place starting position, and Smokin' Joe gets the job done in the Helger South Coast Power Equipment Sportsman feature, picking up the big win. Congratulations to Smokin' Joe. He's been off to an impressive start. I know he had a technical infraction there back earlier in the season. I believe that was week 4, but he had a win in week 2 and a win in week 6. He's the only driver not named Baxter to pick up a win. And out of the 6 races, he's got 4 finishes of first or second. 2 seconds, 2 wins. He had 1 struggle and then the disqualification. But Joe Kohler picks up the win on Saturday night. Power 5 race, 5 extra laps. Nice job by him. Also in the front, Craig Pianca and Corey Fanning also finishing inside the podium. Pianca has been impressive this year. I'm more impressed, though, with Corey Fanning. Pianca's been kind of consistent inside and around the top 10. Fanning struggled from weeks 2 to 4, roughly. Had a decent run opening day, but the last 2 weeks, that Everett's Auto Parts machine has really picked up the pace, and a nice solid run for him. Both of those drivers, though, becoming consistent, as is Chris Rio behind the wheel of the number 3. Rio's got 3 consecutive top 5 finishes after a tough start. Top 5, Joe Kohler wins it. Corey Fanning 2nd. Craig Pianca was 3rd. Ed Perry 4th. And Chris Rio 5th. Some of you that were there probably recognizing that Perry finished better than 4th on the track. He was given a 2-position penalty for rough riding, so he finished 4th in the final result. Sportsmen are back next week. Phil's Propane Round 2. 35 laps for them. The Chaz Auto Body Sport Trucks were also on the track. 35 laps, their second round of the Phil's Propane Series. And coming out on top is the Radical one. Career win number 97 for Radical Rick Martin behind the wheel of the 14 truck. A very impressive race between him, Mike Duarte, and Barry Shaw. 3 multiple-time truck winners, 2 of them former champions, Martin and Duarte. Barry Shaw, the dominant factor early this year. He had 4 wins in the first 5 races coming into the night. He takes the lead at lap 25. The caution comes out a few laps later, and he's given a 2-position penalty by the race control for what the race control deemed as rough riding. So he gets put back to 3rd on the final green-white checkered finish. Shaw's able to finish 2nd, but it's the Radical one, Rick Martin, returning to victory lane for the 97th time behind the wheel at Seekonk Speedway. He's closing in on that elusive 100 that he's probably, if all things go right, going to get before the end of the year, if you really think about it. So I'm going to watch to see if he can get that 100th win. That would be a monumental accomplishment for him and the Speedway. Of course, being open since 1946, as far as records show, Martin would become just the 2nd driver, joining George Summers, to eclipse that 100 win mark. So we'll see if he can get there. Martin wins it. Shaw 2nd. Still, Barry Shaw, the first 6 weeks of the season behind the wheel of the Everett's Auto Parts truck. A win, a 2nd, a win, a 2nd. Has not finished worse than 2nd in the first 6 weeks. So, watch for him. I bet you he's back on the podium again next week. Shaw 2nd. Duarte was 3rd. Great run for the former champion, returning to the trucks here of late and has had a strong run. Mike Caballero driving his new truck for the 2nd or 3rd time. 3rd time for him in his brand new truck was 4th. And Brittany Campbell in the number 8 rounds out the top 5. You hear my phone alarm going off for our guest to join us here, who will be coming up after the break. I'll keep you surprised on who that's going to be. But Martin and Shaw, again, the only 2 winners in the truck division so far. Both of them are now walked into the finale of the Phil's Propane Triple Crown Series. Similar to NASCAR, there will be 4 drivers eligible in that final night to win the Triple Crown title. Martin and Shaw will be 2 of them. We will let you know who the other 2 are here. Going to have to do some calculations on that, figure out who made it in by points. Basically, the 2 winners get in rounds 1 and 2, and then the points dictate the rest. Updated Sport Truck point standings. Barry Shaw leads by 16 over Radical Rick Martin. Martin has finishes of 4th or better in all the races, so he's been consistent. Amy Arsenal is 3rd in the points. Caballero is 4th, and Brittany Campbell rounds out the top 5. There you have the recap from 3 of our 4 NASCAR divisions. We're going to take a quick break once again here in the Race Day Rewind and welcome in our next guest. Will he be the late model winner? Will he be the Sportsman winner? Will he be the Sport Truck winner? Or will it be somebody else that ran at the front of the field on Saturday night. Stick with us for the break, and when we come back, we will welcome that gentleman on. All right, welcome back from the break. I teased a new guest here on the podcast, and first time we talked to this driver as part of the podcast series. He's coming off a big feature win in Saturday's 30-lap Everett's Auto Parts late model feature and getting ready to tackle the Diamond Race coming up next Saturday night, 50 laps. But he is also the first driver to win 2 races in this division and is the points leader in this class coming into next week. That is Vinnie Arrenegado Jr. Now, Vinnie, been a tough competitive year here. I know you came out early and picked up a win right away, but competition's been high. You guys have been running well, consistently up towards the front, but it's got to feel good to get that 17 back in victory lane this week.
Yeah, it does. It feels real good. You know, it is a tough division. I think, you know, we have probably one of the most competitive divisions. I mean, on any given night, you know, just off the top of my head, you know, I can think of 6, 7 people that are able to win on any given night, and you know, that makes it tough. You know, you got to be on top of your game, and you know, we've been consistent. I think our worst finish so far has been like a 7th. You know, but we've been trying to get the car back to where it was at the end of 2019, and you know, we're gaining on it, and I think we're getting closer, and we just keep working hard on it. I mean, you know, you want to keep winning, you have to keep doing a lot of homework and trying a couple different things just to try to be better than the next guy.
Yeah, and Vinny's been one of those drivers. Of course, all the drivers as part of NASCAR Saturday didn't race last year. How much does that impact things? I mean, a year away from the car, you were actually one of them that didn't really go to another track. Some of the drivers elected to go somewhere else and race for the year, so they didn't miss races. But you didn't really do that at all. So was it different getting back in the car this year? And I think that may also be a testament to, you know, trying to get the car right here as we get to the middle of the season, having, you know, 18 or so months without having to work on a setup or even drive.
Yeah, I mean, we ended up going to Star actually like three or 4 times, and we did good. I mean, I've never seen the track, and we finished 3rd every time we went there. It was, you know, I guess we need to do a little bit more homework for there, but we had fun. It was a fun track, and but we did take the rest of the season off and gave everybody kind of a chance to catch up on maybe some home things that we neglect to do when we're running every week. But it does. I mean, we did rent the track at the beginning of the year and went back with the same setup that we had at the end of 2019, and it was fast then. So I thought kind of maybe we'd be all set, but you know, the weather, I think, is playing a big part of it. Hot and slick track there is kind of where we've struggled a little bit. And, you know, I think we need to have a different setup for that than where we do for the beginning and the end of the year, I guess. And so we're trying things for the hot weather. And, you know, last week here, I think we were able to hit on it a little bit. It still needs to be a little bit better. But we're trying to make it as good as it was at the end of the year, make it good all the way through.
Yeah, and that's a tough task. And, of course, as I mentioned, Vinny is the points leader in the Everett's Auto Parts late models. He's opened up a nice, comfortable margin here through the first 6 or 7 weeks of the season. Is that something you're monitoring? I know going into the year, we spoke here in the podcast, you know, it's been pretty clear the last couple of years you've been one of the top contenders, but I really felt like going into this year, it was kind of a 3 or 4 man race as far as the championship goes, and you're at the top of that list. So you think it points here, or is this still a week to week, just try to get through each week, and then you'll evaluate it here as we get to the end of the year?
I mean, you know, our goal is to win a championship. I think that's what everybody's mindset is going into a race season, and you know, we go to win every week. You know, you ask my guys there, and you know, sometimes they say, hey, where's your smile? You know, we finished 3rd or we finished 2nd. I'm like, yeah, you know, but the car needs to be better and we need to, you know, I want to win. And I guess that's just the competitiveness in me. And they understand and they want to win just as much as I do. You know, 2019, we were knocking on the door for a championship. We had won, you know, 4 out of the last 5 races. Really got a good handle on the car, and it just, you know, a couple of mishaps during the year with an electrical problem and getting into a wreck that caused us 2 DNFs. You know, typically with 1 DNF, you don't really have even a chance to sniff a championship, never mind with two. And we came up a couple of points short there at the end. But, so I feel like last year, 2019 rather, was kind of our year to, make it go. And we had some unfortunate things happen. But, this year here, we're trying to go for it again, obviously. And I try not to pay attention to the points. A couple of my guys, they'll always keep me informed, like, hey, we got this. And these are the guys that we're racing. And, obviously Jerry is no slouch with 7 championships already, going for 8. So, he's always right there trying to get us, keep it close. And Hedges is running really well. And, so I try not to, I just try to run week to week and get the best finish that we possibly can without getting into any wrecks or any mishaps there, and try to keep that behind us. And hopefully we have the luck to keep going and get podium finishes as the year goes on.
Well, it's been a strong start to 2021 for Vinnie. I expect him to be back in the winner's circle before long. Hopefully not 6 weeks, he's hoping. He had to wait a little while after the first win to get back in Everett's Auto Parts victory lane. He's going to try to do that again coming up again this week. 50 laps on the docket for the Everett's Auto Parts Diamond Series race, the first 50 lap of the year. Of course, the Triple Crown races in the late models this year, only 45 laps, this being a 50-lap feature on Saturday night. Vinnie, who's behind this effort? I know you got some people that have been helping you out that you want to give a shout-out to.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, my crew and, these guys here, they put in countless hours, all the time. Butch, Mike, Nick, Tommy, Reggie, all these guys here. My dad, he's been helping out in the shop, and all these guys here, they put in a lot of work, and and it's not easy to come to take time away from your own family to come help me out every night of the week and on Saturdays and stuff. So they're a big help there, and I wouldn't be able to do it without them. And then, of course, all the sponsors that are standing behind us, pushing for us to go for that championship. We got more help than we got more help here than what we would expect, and those guys are just, all for it. And, McCabe Construction came on big this year for a new sponsorship. Anubis that's been with us for years. DJL Electric has been with us for a couple of years now. S&R Plastering has been with us for since we started racing. Bam Powder Coating, always helping us out. A1 Paving, Nacho Mamas, Sadao Excavation, Gerard Building. East Bay Quality Hardwood Floors, another new guy that came on big and has been a huge effort to the team. Mark Waters and Elmwood Dodge, have been very, very good to us over the years. Malik's Liquors is another new sponsor that came on board, along with Holmes Landscaping. Navigant Credit Union, been a long-time sponsor. So, Belasco's Pizza for feeding all the guys at the track every week. So we got a lot of sponsors here that, give us some good money to try to win the championship and help us out, and it's all very well appreciated.
Yeah, Vinnie's one of the drivers at the track, as you've now heard, that has probably the most sponsors on his car and the most supporters, and he has been running very well for them here at the start of the 2021 season. Opened up a championship lead that is more than 20 points, and again, I'm expecting to talk with him more here as the course of the season goes along, and probably be chatting about him come end of August, early September, and through the month of September as we crown a champion in the Everett's Auto Parts late models in 2021. Vinnie, I want to thank you for a few minutes here on the Race Day Rewind podcast, and look forward to seeing you this coming Saturday night with 50 laps on the line.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. It was a pleasure talking with you, and we'll give it hell this week here at the first Diamond race here and see if we can put it back in victory lane.
All right, that's been Vinnie Arrenegado. Thanks to Vinnie for joining us. We're going to take a quick break and come back and restart the final segment of the podcast. We're going to talk about that dominant guy in the Pro Stocks that found his way back into victory lane, and we will preview next Saturday night's Diamond race and a special Triple Crown race for the Sportsman. Stick with us. All right, welcome back from the break. Nice to catch up with another guest here in the Race Day Rewind podcast, and one more segment to go before we leave you for another week here on the Seekonk Speedway podcast series. Want to thank everybody for listening. If you're listening for the first time, welcome. If you're an every week listener, which I know there are a lot of you out there, hello and welcome back to the podcast series. Final segment here coming up from Saturday night, June 12th, the Pro Stock Division, our premier division, 40 laps of competition. Great race. I mean, to me, the Pro Stocks have stole the show here in the first 5 or 6, 7 weeks of the season with the races that they've had on the track. I know, I get it. Dave Darling's now won 5 of 6. He picked up a win again this past Saturday night. But I don't care. The racing in the Pro Stock Division has been absolutely phenomenal over the course of this season. I am very, very impressed with what I've seen from these Pro Stock cars this year. You got guys like Darling that are running up front every week. I get it. Yeah, some of you out there are bored by it. Some of you don't like it. Whatever. It is what it is. That's the way I look at it. Dave Darling's got the full package. He's got a good crew. He's got good equipment. He's a good driver. He's doing this in an era that this probably is never going to happen again, honestly. That's my hot take. It is what it is. Dave Darling's dominant right now. There's nobody beating him. One guy beat him so far this year in the Pro Stock Division. That's it. I'm not saying it was a fluke. Tom Scully Jr. in that week that he won, great entry. But, man, it's tough to imagine that Dave Darling's not going to win this championship in 2021. So, we'll watch to see how this goes. Scully won in week 2. Darling won in week 1. He won again in weeks 3, 4, 5, and 6. 4 consecutive, 5 out of 6 wins for David Darling. Watch for him to do that again next Saturday. I would not be shocked. Up front, early in the race, Ryan Lynham and Kenny Spencer went at it. Lynham's been strong. If we had 30-lap Pro Stock races, I think Ryan Lynham would have 2 or 3 wins already himself. Not panning out for him in a 40-lap race, though. Leads most of the race early, had a great battle with Kenny Spencer. Later in the race, Ryan Kuhn passed for the lead. Lynham kind of fading there. There's a restart that wrecks a bunch of cars. Here's my other hot take. What's going on in the Pro Stock Division restarting races? I don't get it. I've never driven, but I don't get why we can't restart these races without crashing race cars at the front of the field on a restart. Man, the Pro Stock's giving you the hot takes this week here on the Race Day Rewind podcast. Whatever the case, Kuhn restarts on the lead with 5 or 6 laps to go. He lost it quickly. Lynham got back by, took the lead. It looks like Flying Ryan's going to victory lane. He's going to knock Dave Darling off. No, his heart's broken again. Dave Darling passes both of them and picks up his 5th win of the season in the first 6 weeks. And historically, that is win number 80 for Dynamite Dave Darling in the Pro Stock. Hats off to them. They've figured it out. They've got it right now in the Pro Stock division. Just like Chad Baxter's got it in the Sportsman division. Just like Barry Shaw's got it in the Sport Truck division. The weight models, who knows who's going to win? Vinnie Arrenegado got his 2nd win. He's the only driver to win more than one. Who the heck knows who's going to win next week? But in the Pro Stocks, Dave Darling is the one. 5 wins in 6 weeks. He beats Ryan Lynham, Ryan Kuhn, Kenny Spencer, and Tom Scully Jr. Darling leads the points. He's ahead by 40 already over Ryan Kuhn in 2nd. Dylan Estrella is 3rd already. Dylan's 72 back. Rick Martin is 3rd. Martin 60 points back in 3rd. So you get Darling, Kuhn, and Martin, your top 3. Estrella is 5th as Ryan Lynham jumped up to 4th. So again, here's the top 5 in the correct order. Darling, Kuhn, Martin, Lynham, Estrella. Your top 5 in the Pro Stock points. Again, the late model points, Vinnie Arrenegado leads, Chad Baxter leads the Sportsman, and Barry Shaw leads the Sport Trucks. Great Saturday night of racing. Appreciate everybody coming out that was at the track. If you weren't there, you have another opportunity to join us as part of our 75th season this Saturday night, June 19th, presented by Cisco Boston and Youth Sports Night at the races. School is out. Hallelujah for all the kids out there. Come to the track and celebrate it on Saturday, June 19th, this coming Saturday night. Cisco Boston, Youth Sports Night, and Schools Out Night at the races. Congratulations to all of our winners from last week. Don't forget also, coming up this Saturday night, round 1 of the Everett's Diamond Series for the Everett's Auto Parts late models, 50 laps for the late models, and the Sportsman, round 2 of the Phil's Propane Triple Crown Series, 35 laps for the Sportsman extra distance, the Chaz Auto Body Sport Trucks, and Dave Darling's Pro Stock, sponsored by Dave Darling. back in the Pro Stock field on Saturday night. We'll see if he can do it again. To me, again, my hot take, he's got it right now. Cut him a break. Get behind somebody else. Is it Dylan Estrella that's going to knock him off? Is it Scully? Is it Kuhn? Is it Rick Martin? Is it Lynham? Is it Mike Brightman? Is it Kenny Spencer? Who's going to do it? Somebody's got to get him off the top here and quick before he wins all the races on the season. Realistically, if you look at the end of the year, Dave Darwin could end this year with at least 90 career wins. That's a crazy feat. But can he win the rest of the races on the schedule? I doubt it. If there's 12 races left, I'm going to say he wins 7 of them. I could even be low on that number. We'll find out. All right, that's it for this week's edition of the Race Day Rewind. Thanks for listening. Appreciate everybody coming out. Look forward to seeing you this Friday and Saturday night, right back at the Action Track of the East. For Souza Media, I'm Kyle Souza. Thanks to Ed St. Germain behind the curtains, pushing all the buttons and producing the show to put it all together. We'll talk to everybody next week on the Race Day Rewind Report.